Oh boy. So this one might get me in trouble. Hello, everyone. It's time for more tier list maker. Today I'll be ranking the doctors of Doctor Who to the best of my ability here. I'm only doing 4 categories today. We have I'm cross with them, and that I don't like them, don't want them. Indifferent, which I will rant very briefly about why I just don't care. Then we have good, all right, and then fantastic, which is going to be, of course, the best doctors, and probably only a few. We have the 13 doctors plus the War Doctor here present with us today, and I will give you a warning. I am not super versed in Classic Who. I have experience with every doctor. I've watched classic episodes from everybody, every single one of them, back in the day. I think it was around the time of the 50-year anniversary of Doctor Who. I watched a serial from every doctor, at least one, usually the one that was most recommended by some subreddit or something, you know. But we're going to go in order here. We're going to start off with William Hartnell, the first Doctor. Now, I got to admit, he's a hard doctor to like at times. He's a mean man, mean old man, and to make it even worse, William Bradley plays him in the... it's William Bradley, right? Not David. I think it's William. Mr. Filch, Argus Filch from the Harry Potter series, that actor plays William Hartnell as the Doctor in both a little side project called Adventure in Time and Space and in an actual as the first Doctor in Doctor Who. And is very good at being the first Doctor. But they also make sure to point out the first Doctor is not the best of fellas. And I honestly can't put him in good or fantastic, even though he started it, even though he brought the whole thing in, and even though the whole idea of him is, you know, without that, we wouldn't have had the rest, probably. I'm going to put him in indifferent. I'm not cross with him, but I don't think that as a character, I don't really like the first Doctor. I appreciate what he's done. I appreciate where he got us. But then you have, you know, Patrick Troughton. Troughton? I've never said his last name out loud, I don't think, and I don't think I've heard it recently. Now, he was much goofier. He was a younger presence for the show when compared to William Hartnell. David Bradley. I got it. But no. So we have a kind of more kooky fella. Wasn't he known for his flute or recorder that he kept with him? And he played a little bit of little toot on occasion. You know, I remember him being like still serious and still a little bit crotchety, like the first Doctor. But you know what? I don't think he was that same thing. And I would wager to put him in good, but I also don't mind put him in indifferent. You know, it's really hard. I think it'd be indifferent. I really do. And then we're moving on into what's your name? Jon Pertwee? Jon Pertwee Doctor, the third Doctor? Yes, and he was the Doctor who was banished to I almost said the United States, to Earth at the end of the second regeneration there. And his character was pretty nice. I liked him a lot. He was a good Doctor. I think he brought the character of the Doctor into a more human feel. Like both these guys had like a human feel, obviously, but they're both just kind of like they didn't have as many heartwarming moments as Jon Pertwee did. Pertwee. Every time I say these names, I'm gonna feel like I'm doing it wrong. And I think he's good. I really do. I don't think he's fantastic, but I think he's really good, and I think that he brought a lot to the character. And then we're brought up to the fella, to the good fella Tom Baker, who everybody adores. I haven't watched a lot of Tom Baker material, but the Tom Baker material I have seen validates every single thing I've heard about him ever. He's been lauded. He's been given so much praise, and I see it, and I think that it would be a disaster if I did not put him in fantastic. And then we get into Peter Davison, who, as the fifth Doctor, he had the little spring onion on his dang lapel. This is when the show really started to get rocky. they weren't giving these actors good scripts. The show as a whole was kind of getting a little bit spooky rocky. These aren't in order. I fixed it. Don't worry. And that's a little disappointing, honestly. And I don't think that Peter Davison has expressed how much he likes Doctor Who here in the future, but I don't think that he's very good. I didn't enjoy him. And I can say pretty much the same thing about Colin Baker, almost even worse. I think he was cool. I think he was nice. I can't do it, though. I really cannot put him higher than I'm cross with him. I don't... nothing about him ever inspired me. From what I watched, from what I've seen since then, I don't care if the actors still like being the Doctor. I think they were, from what I hear, dealt a bad hand in terms of scripts, and they suffered because of it. But then you get into Sylvester McCoy, the 7th Doctor, and things go back up. And it's actually really shocking because Mr. McCoy had some amazing companions. People loved his companions to a extreme. And I've also enjoyed Sylvester McCoy just as an actor. I think he's very funny. I think he exemplifies a lot of the quirkiness of the Doctor while still being able to do the thing where you go, and say, I don't know about that one, and has Doctor... Honestly, I think he's good. I'm going to put him in good, not fantastic. I think he's got it all around. Now, then we get into Paul McGann. Paul McGann, he also was dealt a bad hand in that he was the Doctor for the movie, the movie, and was told that you are going to be a Doctor once, and then if it works, he's going to have more, right? Didn't work out. He only has done audio books since then, really. And, of course, there was a special TV special where he got to reappear as the Doctor. And he's always been good. He's been a good Doctor. But because he hasn't had enough, like material that I've seen on television, I can't put him above indifferent. I think if he was given more TV material, he'd shoot up the rankings. Maybe even to fantastic. I really do. But they're not doing that. Obviously, I think it would be actually amazing if Doctor Who and the BBC decided to make more 8th Doctor stories for TV alongside the 13th Doctor. Do it. You like money. Do it. Then we have the War Doctor played by Jon Hurt. Now, he was only in the special, and his entire backstory is he's the Doctor who fought the Time War. Now, of course, Jon Hurt, unfortunately, now has passed on, so it's very sad that we won't be seeing him in that manner ever again. But as a character, he kind of really didn't get a lot going, Like, he was brought in to basically be Eccleston's replacement. And I think it messed up a lot of the naming, because a lot of people are like, the Doctors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, War, 9. War is not a number. He was very good as the Doctor. He sold it. But honestly, I'm cross with him. I like Jon Hurt. I liked the job he did. I liked the acting. I thought that character, though, I'm cross with the whole idea of it, let alone the whole him. So he stays there. And now we get to some Christopher Eccleston. We're now in the full New Who era. This is Christopher Eccleston. He brought back Doctor Who. He's the one who was there. 9th Doctor on your screen in the episode Rose. Gave you the business of the Doctor and from the North. And he's wonderful. He is fantastic. Do I put him in the fantastic category, though? I don't think so. I think similar to Mr. Baker down here, he was also Colin Baker was dealt some bad scripts. I think that some people really like the first season of New Who. I don't like to watch it. The Slovene as like monsters, awful. Hate them. And he has some good stories. I'd say about more than half, maybe half. It's around half to more than a little bit more than half of his stories are good. But he only did one season. He hasn't come back for any audiobooks, And he honestly is not really like Christopher Eccleston as an actor. He appreciates his time as the Doctor, but he also had a lot of trouble with the BBC. He did not like it. But he did bring back New Who. I think we have to put him in good, but he can't reach Fantastic. And you might be saying Fantastic's looking pretty lonely up there. Don't worry. We're going to get up there soon. And that's when we get into my good friend David Tennant, Barty Crouch Jr. himself. He's the one who made me fall in love with Doctor Who. I struggled through Eccleston's first season when I first watched the show. I'll be honest. I was like, I don't get it. I don't get the hype of Doctor Who. But then I saw the regeneration. And I met David Tennant. He's fantastic. He is everything the Doctor should be. With one exception. I'm going to talk about it in a second. And then we get into Matt Smith, who is probably, he's so good too. It's so hard to say anything about Matt Smith's Doctor. You know, as the 11th Doctor, you expected him to have big shoes to fill after David Tennant, and he not only filled the shoes, some people like him more than David Tennant. It's a big battle, and honestly, as much as I love him, I also think he had a lot of wavering times. This was around the time that Stephen Moffat was in charge of the show, and there was some of this going on, where there were some just episodes you just like, but at the best, he was amazing. As worst, it was just pretty hard to watch. I think he's good, but I also think I had enough of a fill of him. I feel like he could have regenerated a whole season earlier, and I wouldn't have minded. Peter Capaldi, that's it. The 12th Doctor. I got a lot to say about him. He's my favorite Doctor. Without a doubt, my favorite Doctor. I think he had some bad scripts. I won't lie. I know some of these people here, like my good buddy Mr. Colin Baker down here. I said bad scripts, and I put him down here. But Peter Capaldi is the Doctor to me. He wasn't my first Doctor. In fact, I started watching. My first Doctor was, Eccleston. I watched Eccleston. I watched David Tennant. And then I was caught up to real time, and I watched Matt Smith in real time. And then I got to see my first live regeneration. I got to see regeneration for the first time, without it being on Netflix, like with the rest of the world into Peter Capaldi. And I didn't know what to expect. But then he was amazing. I like an older fella. So when I mention David Tennant, he's the Doctor in every way except for one to me. He doesn't have much of the angry old fella in him. And I don't think that's key to the Doctor. I don't think, especially because we're going to talk about that in a second for sure. But the sense of adventure and mystique that comes with the Doctor, absolutely we need that, right? But there's also one thing that I like about Peter Capaldi more, which just he has a little bit of that grumpy old man, and I think it gives the character more than just, David Tennant obviously has character, ripples and progression, but Peter Capaldi, love him. And then we come to Jodie Whittaker, who I will safely say I have not caught up with the current season. I'm not all the way up to the season. I've watched the first 2 episodes, in fact. So I'm a little behind, and I hear there's some good stuff coming. I hear that the 3rd episode's actually kind of awful. I maybe even skip it, but I'm going to watch it, and then I'm going to watch the next 2 after that. Next 2? I think there's 2 out, maybe 3. And I hear it gets amazing. But Jodie Whittaker, she had a very bad first season, and it's definitely not her fault. She did amazing, but I had to put her in different right now because I just don't think she, I have not had enough time yet. I think she has so much potential. I think just like Mr. I've forgotten your name. I said everybody. You're McGann, right? I'm so sorry. Like everybody else, you're like, have so much for you. I'm talking right to her right now. You have so much potential. You're a great actress. You sold the idea on you are the Doctor, especially here in this first new episodes of the first new season, and you also amazingly broke that stigma that the Doctor must be a man. No, Screw that. Doesn't have to be no white man. Jodie Whittaker. Broke the door open for everybody who wants to be the Doctor, I think. And that's powerful as an actress. But as the character, some bad scripts. Hasn't had time to develop yet as a character. And I can't say I'm more than indifferent on her. But maybe by the end of the season, things will change. Maybe she'll climb the ranks. Time will tell. That's my list. Our worst Doctors, who I still like, by the way. I'm cross with them. We have 5, 6, and War. And our fantastic Doctors are 13, 4, and 10. That is my list. Please leave me comments if you disagree. And I will promptly say, okay, that's fine. Because you can like whatever you like. But I like this. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.